This is the village of Hattin, just one of 186 villages which was brutally destroyed during the course of the Second World War here in Belarus during the war years 1941 to 1944. The particular story of Hattin happened on the 22nd of March 1943, when the Germans were in retreat across the country. They came across the village of Hattin, and like all the others they had met, they pillaged and destroyed. Its 149 inhabitants, 76 of them children, the youngest of which was a 7-week-old baby, were put into a wooden barn and burned to death. This horrific atrocity is commemorated and remembered with this monument behind me.
Never again did the people of this country ever consider in their wildest, darkest imaginings that they would see a disaster of these proportions, until April 26, 1986, at 1:23 a.m., when technicians at the Chernobyl power plant in the Ukraine, part of the former Soviet Union, allowed the power in the 4th reactor to fall to low levels as part of a controlled experiment, which went horribly wrong.
BBC News at 6 o'clock. Good evening.
Swedish scientists detected a sharp increase in the level of radiation in the atmosphere. They say it could have been caused by a leak.
The Swedish embassy have been in touch with the Soviet atomic energy authorities. An embassy spokesman said the Russians told them there had been no nuclear accident on Soviet
Everywhere
country.
there was smoke and steam surrounding the reactors. Soldiers were running everywhere, shoveling debris into lorries, and bulldozers were trying to drive away through a great mound of what appeared to be burning earth so that firefighters could get near to the buildings. I was immediately given a troop of 54 soldiers, gave them orders and dispatched them to carry out tasks which I now know had fatal consequences for some of them.
No other country in the world was as generous in its response to this disaster than Ireland, and a huge part of that response was sparked by Waterford man Liam Grant, founder of Chernobyl Aid Ireland. Liam, can you give us a description as to what's going on here today?
Well, today is the final day for loading. All the other trucks have been loaded. It's, I think 8 trucks in all, articulated trucks. This truck is for personal food and tools and stuff like that.
You seem to have volunteers from every walk of life.
It's volunteers from all over Ireland, every walk of life, male, female. There's 170 people flying out to do 2 weeks' work, and all of them have given up their time free. So it's a great effort.
Just in terms of your own involvement, now I know you've been involved in mercy missions abroad long before the disaster that is and was Chernobyl. Can you tell us a bit about that, your initial involvement?
I suppose I started off with Romania and done 5 or 6 trips there, and then I got involved with Chernobyl, and that really has taken over my life. We've taken over an orphanage that was really in bad repair and a terrible place to live. 5 years down the road, it's still not a nice place, but at least it's comfortable for the kids. So after this year, hopefully a lot of work will be done, and things will be a lot more comfortable.
Now you work full-time as an ambulance driver as well. How do you combine that with being coordinator of a project of this nature and the logistics needed?
Normally when I finish work for South Eastern Health Board, I go and do a couple of hours in the office, but that has to be done every day.
So what would be your particular visions and hopes for this mission going out today?
Well, just hope that everybody will be up in time in the morning and that he gets there safely. It's a long, hard drive. We'll be 5 days on the road, and with the 16 articulated trucks altogether, some smaller Chernobyl projects travelling with us. So hopefully they'll all get there safe, and all the boys will get out there safely and the work will be done.
Edward, it's very much a Waterford-based organisation, isn't it?
Absolutely, Oliver. Liam Grant formed Chernobyl Aid Ireland some 5 years ago now, and since that the charity has grown to become a national charity with outreach groups supporting us all over the country.
Well, as impossible a task as it seems, and as indeed as it is, there are some people you'd like to thank.
I would, Oliver. I wouldn't like to thank any individuals because obviously you'd leave somebody out, but I would like to generalise and thank our corporate sponsors for their continuous support, and indeed the individuals who give us donations. Without their continuous support we wouldn't be able to continue our operation within the orphanage. I'd also like to pay tribute to our media, our local media in particular, WLRFM, who have been very good to us over the years.
I must say the level of cooperation which we've seen up close has been something absolutely amazing.
Indeed, our volunteers are remarkable. They give freely of their time. They give up 2 or 3 weeks of their holidays every year to go to the orphanage to work, to improve the quality of life for these children, to give them some of the basics that we take for granted. In this, I mustn't forget to mention the volunteers' families who are back at home during these periods of time.
And long may it continue.
And long may it continue, Oliver.
Our story now moves to Belarus and to this orphanage in the Grozovo region at a tiny village called Konahi, which is 120 kilometers just outside the capital city of Minsk. It's an ex-military barracks, now home to almost 200 orphans, aged between 7 and 17, both boys and girls. And here the team sets to work to better the lives of these children. Much has been achieved since the startup of the project. In fact, before the arrival of Liam Grant's team, everyday life at the orphanage consisted of dark corridors, very little running water, certainly no hot water, no toilets or shower facilities, no heating despite wintertime temperatures of -20 and below, overcrowded dormitories and damp, dilapidated buildings with plaster falling off walls, no health and safety provisions, and only the most basic of nutrition standards. The project is ongoing since 1997, which is the equivalent of a mere 6 weeks on-site every 12 months, which is aided by the full-time job of fundraising, securing of provisions, and of course, most importantly, the recruiting of skilled and unskilled volunteers alike. All talents are made use of, ranging from plasterers, electricians, roofers, carpenters, engineers, plumbers, painters, and every conceivable skill in between. In fact, many volunteers find themselves coming back time and time again, such is the camaraderie and belief in the project. Especially when you consider that it is not unusual to see members of the same family working side by side. As is evidenced by the footage you see, the restoration work covers everything from internal and external replastering, replacing of rotten windows and doors with new PVC, a new central heating system. Here you see the original heating system, which was installed firstly in the 1940s, being dismantled and replaced to make way for a brand new state-of-the-art system which will now cater for the needs of the children. The added bonus being that the new heating system will be far more economical to run in a situation where every penny counts. Insulation of the entire structure to protect against the severe Belarusian weather. Installing of proper toilet and shower facilities, as well as a sewage system. Replacing of dangerous staircases with new structures. In short, provision of so many things that to us are taken for granted in everyday life, but that here in Grozovo are truly appreciated. Add to that the dedication of the truck drivers who bring much-needed supplies and building materials to the orphanage by virtue of a grueling 10-day land bridge, a truly mammoth task in itself, both physically and mentally, contending with the smooth running of the convoy as well as crossing border checkpoints. Another great stride forward has been the provision of proper medical facilities and monitoring of the development of the children at the orphanage. Prior to the arrival of the team, basic nutrition was very poor. In fact, it was quite hard to ascertain the true age of some of the children due to their small stature, caused by poor dietary conditions and lack of basic vitamins. Most noticeably, the loss of teeth in older children due to a simple lack of calcium. Thankfully, this has been addressed through the volunteer work of skilled dentists, doctors and nurses who give so generously of their time to monitor and organize hospital visits where necessary.